The rain hammered the pavement outside, creating a rhythmic symphony that seemed to echo the heartbeat of the city itself. Each drop was a tiny percussion, a note in the grand orchestra of the storm. The streets, usually bustling with life, were now deserted, save for the occasional hurried pedestrian seeking refuge under an umbrella or in the nearest doorway. The rain was relentless, a curtain of water that blurred the lines between the buildings and the sky, turning the city into a watercolor painting in motion. A symphony of city sounds, muffled by the downpour, drifted through the open door of the cafe. The usual cacophony of car horns, chatter, and footsteps was softened, transformed into a gentle hum that blended seamlessly with the patter of rain. It was as if the world outside had taken a deep breath, pausing for a moment of introspection. The cafe, a sanctuary from the storm, welcomed its patrons with the promise of warmth and comfort. Inside, the air hung thick with the aroma of roasted coffee beans and cinnamon pastries. The scent was intoxicating, a blend of warmth and sweetness that wrapped around you like a comforting embrace. The barista, a master of their craft, moved with practiced ease behind the counter, creating steaming cups of coffee that seemed to carry the essence of the cafe itself. The pastries, fresh from the oven, were a visual and olfactory delight, their golden crusts promising a taste of heaven. A gentle jazz melody played softly, almost lost amidst the murmur of conversations and the clinking of spoons against ceramic. The music, a soothing backdrop, added to the ambiance, creating an atmosphere that was both lively and serene. The patrons, a mix of regulars and newcomers, found solace in the familiar tunes, their conversations weaving in and out of the melody like threads in a tapestry. The clinking of spoons against ceramic was a rhythmic counterpoint, a reminder of the simple pleasures of life. At a small table by the window, bathed in the warm glow of an antique lamp, sat a young woman named Amelia. The lamp, with its intricate design and soft light, cast a golden halo around her, creating a scene that was both timeless and intimate. Amelia, lost in her thoughts, seemed to be a part of the cafe's very soul, a living embodiment of its charm and grace. Her presence added a touch of mystery to the scene, inviting curious glances from the other patrons. Amelia traced patterns on the fogged glass with her fingertip, her movements slow and deliberate. The window, a canvas of condensation, became a portal to her inner world, each pattern a reflection of her thoughts and emotions. The rain outside blurred the view, creating a sense of isolation and introspection. Amelia's patterns, ephemeral and fleeting, were a silent conversation with herself, a way to make sense of the chaos within. Her thoughts drifted, mirroring the melancholic rhythm of the rain. Each drop seemed to carry a memory, a fragment of a story waiting to be told. The rain, with its steady cadence, was a reminder of the passage of time, of moments lost and dreams unfulfilled. Amelia's gaze, fixed on the rainy street, was distant and contemplative, as if she were searching for answers in the patterns of the falling rain. She was a writer, a weaver of words and emotions. But lately, the stories seemed lost, the words elusive. The blank pages of her notebook were a stark contrast to the vibrant world around her, a reminder of her creative block. Amelia's mind, once a fountain of ideas, was now a barren landscape, devoid of inspiration. The cafe, with its rich tapestry of sights, sounds, and scents, was both a refuge and a source of frustration, a place where she sought solace but found only silence. Inspiration, once a constant companion, felt distant, a flickering flame threatening to be extinguished by the winds of doubt. The candle, with its wavering light, was a metaphor for her creative spirit, fragile and vulnerable. Amelia's struggle was not just with words, but with herself, with the fear that she had lost her gift, that the stories she longed to tell would remain forever untold. The flickering flame was a reminder of her potential, a beacon of hope in the darkness of doubt. She longed for a spark, a catalyst to reignite the fire within her soul. The cafe, with its cozy ambiance and rich sensory experiences, was a place where she hoped to find that spark. Amelia's longing was palpable, a deep yearning for the return of her creative muse. The cafe, with its warm light and comforting scents, was a sanctuary, a place where she could lose herself in the moment and perhaps find the inspiration she so desperately sought. Unconsciously, she reached for the worn leather-bound journal that never left her side. The journal, a repository of her thoughts and dreams, was a tangible connection to her past, a reminder of the stories she had once told with ease. Its pages, filled with fragments of her heart, were a testament to her journey as a writer. The journal was more than just a book. It was a part of her, a reflection of her soul. Its pages held fragments of her heart, whispered secrets, and half-written dreams. Each entry was a snapshot of a moment in time, a glimpse into her innermost thoughts and feelings. The journal was a sanctuary, a place where she could be herself, free from the expectations and judgments of the outside world. The handwritten notes, with their imperfections and idiosyncrasies, were a testament to her authenticity, a reminder of her unique voice. As she opened it, a faded photograph slipped from its confines, fluttering onto the table like a fallen leaf. The photograph, a relic of the past, was a tangible connection to her memories, a reminder of the people and moments that had shaped her. Its faded edges and worn surface were a testament to its age, a symbol of the passage of time. The photograph, with its sepia tones and nostalgic aura, was a portal to a different era, a window into her past. It was a picture of her grandfather, his eyes twinkling with mischief, a mischievous grin etched on his weathered face. The photograph captured a moment of joy, a snapshot of a man who had lived life to the fullest. Her grandfather's eyes, with their twinkle of mischief, were a reflection of his spirit, a reminder of the love and wisdom he had shared with her. The photograph, with its warm tones and nostalgic charm, was a cherished memory, a reminder of the bond they had shared. He had been her confidant, her biggest cheerleader, and the one who instilled in her a love for stories. Her grandfather's influence was profound, shaping her into the person she was today. His encouragement and belief in her abilities had given her the confidence to pursue her dreams. The photograph, a tangible reminder of his presence, was a source of comfort and inspiration. Amelia's heart swelled with gratitude and love as she held the photograph, reminiscing about the moments they had shared. A pang of sadness pierced her heart. She missed him dearly. His absence was a void that could never be filled, a silence that echoed in the quiet corners of her world. The photograph, a reminder of his presence, was also a reminder of his absence, a symbol of the loss she felt every day. Amelia's sorrow was a testament to the depth of their bond, a reflection of the love and connection they had shared. The photograph, with its faded edges and worn surface, was a tangible reminder of the man who had meant so much to her. His absence left a void in her life, a silence that echoed in the quiet corners of her world. The cafe, usually a place of comfort and solace, felt empty and hollow without him. Amelia's loneliness was palpable, a deep ache that resonated in the quiet moments. The cafe, with its warm light and comforting scents, was a stark contrast to the emptiness she felt inside. The void, a symbol of her loss, was a reminder of the love and connection she had once known. He had always believed in the power of stories, in their ability to transport, to heal, to ignite the imagination. His belief in the transformative power of stories had been a guiding light in her life, a source of inspiration and motivation. Amelia's reflections on his words were a reminder of the impact he had had on her, a testament to his wisdom and insight. The power of stories, a central theme in her life, was a legacy he had passed on to her, a gift that continued to shape her journey as a writer. He used to say, "Amelia, my dear, everyone has a story to tell, a song in their heart waiting to be sung." His words, a mantra she had carried with her, were a reminder of the importance of storytelling, of the need to share one's voice with the world. Amelia's memories of his words were a source of comfort and inspiration, a reminder of the love and support he had always shown her. His voice, a soothing presence in her mind, was a guiding light, a beacon of hope in the darkness of doubt. Sometimes, all it takes is a single note to awaken it. The note, a symbol of hope and inspiration, was a reminder of the power of a single moment, a single idea, to ignite the creative spark within. Amelia's longing for inspiration was a reflection of her deep desire to reconnect with her creative spirit, to find the stories that lay hidden within her. The note, a metaphor for the spark she sought, was a reminder of the potential that lay within her, a symbol of the hope and possibility that awaited her. The cafe door opened, letting in a gust of wind and the scent of rain-soaked earth. The weather outside was a symphony of nature, with raindrops dancing on the pavement and the occasional rumble of thunder in the distance. The air was thick with the smell of wet leaves and fresh rain, a scent that always brought a sense of calm and renewal. The wind carried with it the whispers of 1,000 stories, each one waiting to be told. Amelia barely noticed. She was lost in her memories, the photograph warming her hand. The image was of a simpler time, a moment frozen in the past. It was a picture of her and her grandfather, taken on a sunny afternoon in the park. They were both smiling, their faces lit up with joy. The photograph was worn and faded, but the emotions it captured were as vivid as ever. Amelia's mind wandered back to that day, to the sound of her grandfather's laughter and the warmth of his embrace. Then, a sound pierced through her reverie, a melody both haunting and familiar. It was as if the music had traveled through time, reaching out to her from the past. The notes were delicate and ethereal, like a whisper carried on the wind. They seemed to wrap around her, pulling her out of her memories and back into the present. Amelia's heart skipped a beat as she recognized the tune. It drifted from the back of the cafe, weaving its way around the room, wrapping itself around her heart. The music filled the space, creating an atmosphere of warmth and nostalgia. The cafe was a haven from the storm outside, a place where time seemed to stand still. The soft glow of the lights, the hum of conversation, and the clinking of cups all blended together, creating a symphony of their own. But it was the music that held Amelia's attention, drawing her in with its haunting beauty. It was a melody she knew, a piece her grandfather used to play on his old gramophone. The gramophone was a treasured family heirloom, a relic from a bygone era. Its rich, warm tones had filled their home with music, creating a soundtrack for their lives. Amelia could still picture her grandfather sitting in his favorite chair, lost in the music. He would close his eyes and let the notes wash over him, a look of pure contentment on his face. He called it the Song of the Wanderer, a tune that spoke of longing and hope, of journeys taken and those yet to come. The song was a reflection of her grandfather's spirit, his love for adventure, and his unquenchable curiosity. He had always been a wanderer at heart, never content to stay in one place for too long. The music was his way of expressing that restlessness, of capturing the essence of his soul. Amelia had always felt a deep connection to the song, as if it held a piece of her own heart. The notes resonated deep within her, stirring something dormant, awakening a sense of bittersweet nostalgia. It was a feeling that was both comforting and painful, a reminder of what had been lost and what still remained. The music brought back memories of her childhood, of the time she had spent with her grandfather. They had shared so many moments, so many stories and secrets. The song was a thread that connected them, a bond that could never be broken. She closed her eyes, letting the music wash over her, each note a poignant reminder of her grandfather's love. The melody was like a gentle caress, soothing her soul and filling her with a sense of peace. Amelia could feel the weight of her worries lifting, replaced by a sense of calm and clarity. The music was a balm for her heart, a reminder that she was not alone. Her grandfather's love was still with her, a guiding light in the darkness. For a moment, the world outside faded away. The storm, the rain, the noise, all of it disappeared, leaving only the music and the memories it evoked. Amelia felt as if she were floating, suspended in time and space. The cafe became a sanctuary, a place where she could reconnect with her past and find solace in the present. The music was a bridge between the two, a link that transcended time and distance. The clatter of dishes, the hushed conversations, the relentless drumming of rain, all ceased to exist. The only sound that mattered was the music, a symphony of emotions that spoke to her soul. Amelia felt a sense of unity with the other patrons in the cafe, as if they were all part of the same story. The music had a way of bringing people together, of creating a shared experience that transcended words. It was a reminder of the power of art, of its ability to touch our hearts and connect us to one another. There was only the music, a poignant symphony that tugged at her soul, pulling her back to a time of childhood dreams and whispered secrets shared beneath a starlit sky. Amelia could almost see the stars, feel the cool night air on her skin. She remembered the nights she had spent with her grandfather, lying on a blanket in the backyard, gazing up at the heavens. They would talk for hours, sharing their hopes and dreams, their fears and doubts. The music was a reminder of those precious moments, of the bond they had shared. She could almost hear her grandfather's voice, his gentle laughter, his words echoing in the spaces between the notes. His voice was a melody of its own, a soothing presence that had always brought her comfort. Amelia could hear him telling her stories, sharing his wisdom and his love. His laughter was a symphony of joy, a sound that had always made her smile. The music brought all of these memories flooding back, filling her heart with a sense of warmth and love. Driven by an unseen force, Amelia rose from her seat. She felt a sense of urgency, a need to find the source of the music. It was as if her grandfather were calling to her, guiding her towards something important. Amelia's heart was pounding, her mind racing with possibilities. She had to know who was playing the song, who had brought this piece of her past back to life. The music was a beacon, leading her towards a new discovery. She had to find the source of this music, the phantom playing her grandfather's song, reawakening memories she thought were lost to time. Amelia moved through the cafe with purpose, her eyes scanning the room for any sign of the musician. The music grew louder as she approached the back of the cafe, each note resonating deep within her. She felt a sense of anticipation, a mixture of excitement and trepidation. What would she find? Who was behind this beautiful, haunting melody? With each step closer to the sound, her heart beat faster, a mixture of anticipation and trepidation coursing through her veins. Amelia's mind was a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. She felt a connection to the music, a sense of familiarity that was both comforting and unsettling. The melody was a link to her past, a reminder of her grandfather's love and the bond they had shared. As she drew closer to the source, she felt a sense of hope, a belief that she was about to discover something important. The music was a key, unlocking memories and emotions that had been buried for too long. Amelia took a deep breath, ready to face whatever awaited her. The cellist lowered his bow, a sigh escaping his lips as he broke free from the embrace of the music. He seemed lost in thought for a moment, his gaze fixed on the worn strings of his instrument. Then, as if sensing her presence, he turned, his eyes widening slightly in surprise.
I hope I didn't disturb you. I heard you playing, and I had to know, who was playing my grandfather's song?
A slow smile spread across the cellist's face, transforming his features. It was a smile that illuminated his eyes, revealing a hint of mischief lurking beneath the surface. He had a kind face, she noted, with laugh lines etched at the corners of his eyes and a dimple that played at the edge of his lips when he smiled.
Your grandfather's song? It's a beautiful piece. I don't believe we've met. I'm Daniel.
Amelia, my grandfather used to play that melody on his old gramophone. He called it the Song of the Wanderer.
A fitting title. It evokes a sense of longing, of searching, of journeys both physical and emotional.
He always said that music had the power to transport us, to different times, different places, even to the hearts of those we love.
He was a wise man. Music is a universal language. It transcends words, connecting us in ways we never thought possible.
Amelia found herself drawn to his words, to the way he spoke about music with such passion and reverence. It was as if he understood the profound impact it could have on the soul, the way it could evoke a kaleidoscope of emotions with a single note. She felt an instant kinship with him, a shared understanding that transcended their brief encounter. They talked for hours that day in the cafe, their conversation flowing effortlessly as if they had known each other for a lifetime. The rain continued its steady rhythm outside, a soothing backdrop to their burgeoning connection. But inside, a different kind of storm brewed, one of emotions and unspoken words. A storm of shared dreams, unspoken desires, and a connection that deepened with each passing moment, weaving an intricate tapestry of their intertwined fates. Amelia, usually guarded, found herself opening up to Daniel, sharing her deepest fears and aspirations, things she had never voiced aloud before. Daniel listened with an intensity that both captivated and unnerved her, his focus unwavering, as if her words were the most important thing in the world. His eyes, those mesmerizing emerald pools, never left her face as she spoke, as if he were committing every word, every inflection, to memory, absorbing the essence of her being. He had a way of making her feel seen, truly seen, as if he understood the hidden depths of her soul that she rarely revealed to anyone, not even to herself. It was a rare and precious gift. As the day bled into evening, the cafe slowly emptied, leaving them cocooned in their own private world, a sanctuary where time seemed to stand still. The soft glow of the antique lamps cast long shadows around them, creating an intimate atmosphere that crackled with unspoken electricity, a tangible energy that neither could ignore. Amelia had never felt so connected to anyone before, so comfortable in the presence of another human being. It was as if she had found a missing piece of herself. With Daniel, she felt a sense of belonging she had never experienced, not even with her closest friends. It was a profound and unexpected revelation. It was as if their souls, long adrift in a sea of strangers, had finally found their way to each other, recognizing a kindred spirit in the vast expanse of human existence. They were no longer alone, but together, navigating the complexities of life with newfound hope and understanding. When the cafe owner finally announced closing time, Amelia felt a pang of disappointment. She wasn't ready to let go of this newfound connection, to step back into the loneliness of her own world. But as she glanced at Daniel, she saw a flicker of the same reluctance in his eyes, a shared desire to hold on to this moment for as long as possible.
I should probably get going.
She gathered her belongings, her fingers lingering on the worn leather of her journal, as if drawing strength from its familiar weight.
Let me walk you. The streets are still wet and the city can be a treacherous place at night.
Amelia nodded, her heart pounding in her chest. They stepped out of the warmth of the cafe and into the cool night air. The rain had stopped, leaving a shimmering sheen on the cobblestone streets. The city, no longer muffled by the downpour, came alive with a cacophony of sounds. The distant wail of sirens, the rumble of passing cars, the laughter of revelers spilling out of nearby bars. They walked in comfortable silence, their footsteps echoing on the empty street. The city, usually a source of anonymity, suddenly felt different, charged with a palpable energy. Amelia, hyper-aware of Daniel's presence beside her, noticed the way his hand brushed against hers as they walked, a fleeting touch that sent shivers down her spine.
Where are you headed?
His voice, a soothing baritone that resonated in the quiet of the night, sent a wave of warmth through her.
Just a few blocks from here.
Her gaze fixed on the sidewalk ahead. She didn't want him to know how close her apartment actually was, how much she wished this walk could last forever. They continued walking, their conversation flowing easily, like the notes of a familiar song. They talked about their shared love of music, their dreams for the future, their fears and insecurities. With each shared confidence, the invisible barrier between them crumbled a little more, replaced by a growing sense of intimacy. As they approached a street lamp, its golden light illuminating Daniel's face, Amelia noticed the way his eyes crinkled at the corners when he laughed, the way his smile lit up his entire face. She realized with a start that she was falling for him, falling quickly and irrevocably. "This is me," Amelia said, her voice barely above a whisper as they stopped in front of an unassuming brick building. The weight of their impending separation hung heavy in the air, threatening to suffocate the fragile connection they had forged. "I had a wonderful time," Daniel said, his gaze meeting hers. "The best time." Amelia's heart ached at his words, a bittersweet symphony of happiness and longing. She wanted to reach out, to touch his face, to erase the distance between them, But she held back, her fear of rejection a formidable barrier. "Me too," she managed to say, her voice barely audible above the city's nocturnal hum. "Thank you for walking me home." "Not at all," Daniel replied, his gaze lingering on hers. "Amelia, I know this might seem sudden, but I feel like I've known you forever. Would you be willing to meet me again? Tomorrow, perhaps?" Amelia's breath caught in her throat. She wanted nothing more than to say yes, to throw caution to the wind and dive headfirst into this whirlwind of emotions. But a part of her, a cynical voice she couldn't silence, whispered warnings of caution, reminding her of her past heartbreaks, of the fleeting nature of such intense connections. Amelia hesitated, her mind racing. She desperately wanted to see him again, to spend more time with him, to explore this budding connection that felt both exhilarating and terrifying. But a shadow of doubt lingered in her mind, a whisper of past disappointments that threatened to extinguish the flicker of hope igniting in her heart. "It's just," she stammered, searching for the right words to explain the turmoil raging within her. How could she articulate the fear that clawed at her, the fear of vulnerability, of letting someone in only to have them inevitably leave, taking a piece of her heart with them? Daniel, sensing her hesitation, took a step closer, his hand reaching out as if to touch her face but stopping just short, his fingers hovering in the space between them. The heat of his gaze intensified, conveying a depth of understanding that both comforted and terrified her. "Amelia," he said, his voice a soft caress that sent shivers down her spine. "If you're not ready, I understand. But please know that I wouldn't ask if I didn't feel something real, something significant." Amelia's heart pounded in her chest, each beat echoing the turmoil within her. Daniel's words, spoken with such sincerity, chipped away at the wall of doubt she had so carefully erected around her heart. His voice was a gentle hammer, breaking through the barriers she had built to protect herself. She yearned to believe him, to trust in this connection that felt both familiar and extraordinary, a bond that seemed to transcend time and space. But the fear of being hurt again, the fear of repeating past mistakes, held her captive. Memories of past heartbreaks flashed through her mind, each one a reminder of the pain she had endured. I need some time," she finally said, her voice a mere whisper, barely audible over the sound of her own racing thoughts. She couldn't bear to look at him, afraid that if she did, she would crumble under the intensity of his gaze, confessing the depth of her feelings she wasn't sure she was ready to confront. The weight of her emotions was almost too much to bear. Confessing the depth of her feelings she wasn't sure she was ready to confront, seemed impossible. She felt trapped between her desire to open up and her instinct to protect herself. Daniel nodded, his expression a mixture of understanding and disappointment. He had hoped for a different answer, but he respected her need for time. "Of course," he said, his voice a low murmur, filled with a tenderness that made her heart ache. "I'll be at the cafe tomorrow at the same time." His words were a lifeline, a promise of another chance. "If you change your mind." He didn't finish his sentence, but he didn't need to. The unspoken message was clear, a beacon of hope in the darkness of her uncertainty. The unspoken message hung heavy in the air between them, a promise and a plea woven into the fabric of the night. It lingered, a silent testament to the possibilities that lay ahead. As Amelia watched him walk away, his silhouette receding into the shadows of the city, she felt a wave of panic wash over her. The distance between them seemed to grow with each step he took. She felt a wave of panic wash over her. What if she had made a mistake? The thought gnawed at her, a relentless whisper in the back of her mind. What if she had made a mistake? What if she let fear dictate her actions, pushing away the very thing she had been searching for her entire life? The questions swirled in her mind, each one more troubling than the last. What if she let fear dictate her actions, pushing away the very thing she had been searching for her entire life? The weight of her indecision pressed down on her, leaving her feeling more lost and conflicted than ever before. The next morning, Amelia woke with a start, her heart pounding in her chest. She had barely slept, her mind a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. Daniel's words, his eyes, the way he made her feel so seen, so understood, replayed in her mind like a broken record. She stumbled out of bed and over to her desk, drawn by an invisible force. With trembling hands, she picked up her pen and began to write, pouring her heart out onto the page. She wrote of her fear, her doubt, but also of the undeniable connection she felt with Daniel, a connection that transcended logic and reason. Hours later, as the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the city, Amelia sealed the letter, her hand lingering on the envelope as if she could will her emotions into the paper. She had bared her soul in those words, confessing her deepest fears and desires, hoping against hope that Daniel would understand. With a deep breath, she stepped out into the bustling city, her destination the familiar cafe where she had first met Daniel. As she approached the corner, her heart skipped a beat. There, leaning against a lamppost, his cello case by his side, was Daniel. Relief washed over her, followed by a surge of joy so intense it took her breath away. But as she drew closer, she noticed something different about him. His shoulders slumped, his usual carefree demeanor replaced by a weight that seemed to pull him down. His eyes, those mesmerizing emerald pools that usually sparkled with life, looked dull, as if a part of him had been extinguished. He saw her then, and a flicker of hope crossed his face, only to be replaced by a look of resignation so profound it pierced Amelia's heart like a shard of glass. He straightened up, his hand reaching out as if to greet her, but instead he pulled a crumpled envelope from his pocket and held it out to her. "This came for you," he said, his voice devoid of its usual warmth, a flat monotone that sent chills down Amelia's spine. A messenger delivered it just now. Amelia's hand trembled as she took the envelope, her fingers tracing the unfamiliar handwriting on the front. It was addressed to her, but the return address was one she didn't recognize. A sense of foreboding washed over her, cold and suffocating, as she tore open the envelope and unfolded the single sheet of paper inside. The words blurred before Amelia's eyes, their meaning filtering through the haze of her mounting panic. It was a letter from her family's lawyer, informing her of her grandmother's sudden illness, a stroke that had left her hospitalized and in critical condition. Amelia's world tilted on its axis. Her grandmother, the woman who had raised her after her parents' untimely death, the one constant in her life, was clinging to life, and she was miles away, oblivious, lost in the throes of a burgeoning romance. "I need to go," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. She looked at Daniel, her heart breaking at the pain she saw reflected in his eyes, a pain that mirrored her own. "I know," he said simply, his hand reaching out to gently brush a stray strand of hair from her face. Go. Be with your family. What you're feeling, it's important. Don't let fear or doubt steal this time from you. Amelia nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. She wanted to say more, to explain the depth of her feelings for him, to promise that this wasn't goodbye, but the words wouldn't come. She was torn between her love for Daniel, a love that had blossomed with the intensity of 1,000 suns, and her duty to her family, the people who had been her anchor in a world often adrift. With a last lingering look at Daniel, his face etched in her memory, Amelia turned and ran, her heart pounding in her chest, a drumbeat of fear and regret. She hailed a taxi and gave the driver the address of the hospital, her mind racing, her thoughts a jumbled mess of what-ifs and unspoken goodbyes. As the taxi sped through the city streets, Amelia closed her eyes, willing herself to stay strong, to focus on her grandmother, on the uncertain future that lay ahead. But Daniel's image, his voice, the memory of their stolen moments together, haunted her thoughts, a bittersweet reminder of the love she had found and the pain of their sudden separation. The next few weeks passed in a blur of hospital visits, hushed conversations with doctors, and the agonizing wait for news of her grandmother's condition. Amelia barely slept, her days and nights blending together in a haze of anxiety and exhaustion. Throughout it all, the memory of Daniel, of their brief but intense connection, lingered in the back of her mind, a source of both comfort and pain. She thought about him constantly, wondering how he was doing, if he thought about her as often as she thought about him. She had written him a letter from the hospital, pouring out her heart, explaining the situation with her grandmother, and promising to contact him as soon as she could. But the days turned into weeks, and the letter remained unanswered. Hope, once a flickering flame, began to dwindle, replaced by a dull ache of resignation. Amelia's grandmother eventually recovered, though not to her former vibrancy. The stroke had taken its toll, leaving her frail and requiring constant care. Amelia, her dreams of pursuing her writing career in the city put on hold, moved back to her grandmother's small coastal town to care for her. Life settled into a new routine, a far cry from the bustling city streets and the promise of a future with Daniel. Amelia filled her days caring for her grandmother, her nights writing in the same worn leather-bound journal she had carried with her to the city, the pages now filled with memories of Daniel, of their stolen moments, and the love that had bloomed and withered in the space of a few short weeks. One evening, as Amelia sat by her grandmother's bedside, reading aloud from her favorite book of poetry, she noticed a familiar melody drifting from the old radio on the nightstand. It was the Song of the Wanderer, the same tune Daniel had played for her in the cafe, the music that had drawn them together like moths to a flame. Amelia's breath caught in her throat. The music, once a source of comfort, now pierced her heart, a poignant reminder of what she had lost, of the love that had slipped through her fingers like grains of sand. Tears welled up in her eyes, blurring her vision as the melody washed over her, each note a bittersweet echo of a past she could no longer outrun. "He played that for me," Amelia whispered, her voice thick with unshed tears. She looked at her grandmother, her heart heavy with the weight of their shared loss, the loss of love, of time, of opportunities missed. Her grandmother, her gaze distant, as if lost in her own memories, reached out and gently patted Amelia's hand. "Sometimes," she said, her voice raspy but filled with a lifetime of wisdom, "the most beautiful melodies are the ones left unfinished. They linger in the silence, a haunting reminder of what could have been." Amelia's grandmother's words, though meant to comfort, ignited a spark of defiance within her. She refused to believe that her story with Daniel was over, that their love, so intense, so real, was nothing more than a fleeting memory, a melody lost to the whims of fate. She spent the next few months pouring her heart into her writing, her words a cathartic release for the pain and longing she carried within her. She wrote about Daniel, about their time together, about the love that had taken root in her heart and refused to be silenced. As she wrote, a new resolve grew within her. She had to find Daniel, to know what had happened, to understand why he had never answered her letter. She owed it to herself, to the love they had shared, to seek closure, even if it meant facing the possibility that their paths were not meant to converge again. With renewed determination, Amelia embarked on a journey to find Daniel, her only clue the crumpled envelope he had given her that fateful night. The return address, she discovered, belonged to a music conservatory in Vienna, a city renowned for its rich musical heritage. She booked a flight to Vienna, her heart pounding with a mixture of hope and trepidation. As the plane soared above the clouds, she closed her eyes, picturing Daniel's face, his emerald eyes, his shy smile, the way his touch had sent shivers down her spine. She clung to those memories, to the hope that she would find him, that their story wasn't over. Vienna welcomed Amelia with open arms. Its cobblestone streets, grand palaces, and vibrant music scene both enchanting and intimidating. She spent her days exploring the city, her nights haunting the cafes and concert halls, her ears attuned to any sound, any melody that might lead her to Daniel. She visited the music conservatory, her heart pounding with anticipation, only to be met with disappointment. The receptionist, a stern-looking woman with a no-nonsense air, informed her that Daniel had left the conservatory several years ago, his whereabouts unknown. Amelia refused to give up. She scoured the city, following every lead, every whisper of a talented cellist who might be the Daniel she was searching for. She visited every music store, every cafe, every park bench where musicians gathered, her hope dwindling with each passing day. One rainy afternoon, as Amelia wandered through a quiet park, her footsteps echoing on the wet pavement, she heard a familiar melody drifting from a gazebo at the edge of a pond. Her heart skipped a beat, her breath catching in her throat as she recognized the tune. It was the Song of the Wanderer, played with such raw emotion, such depth of feeling, that it could only be him. She ran towards the gazebo, her heart pounding in her chest, her eyes searching for the source of the music. And there he was, sitting on a bench, his back to her, his head bowed in concentration as his hands danced over the strings of his cello. Daniel. Older now, his hair streaked with silver, lines etched on his face, but his eyes, those unforgettable emerald eyes, still held the same warmth, the same intensity that had captivated her all those years ago. Amelia stood there for a moment, frozen in place, her heart overflowing with a mixture of joy, relief, and a tinge of sadness. He hadn't seen her yet, lost in the world of music, his body swaying slightly to the rhythm of the melody. As the last note faded into the silence, Amelia took a step forward, her hand reaching out to touch his shoulder. He turned, his eyes widening in surprise as he looked up at her. For a heartbeat, the world stood still, the years melting away as if they had never been apart.
"Amelia?" he breathed, his voice a mixture of disbelief and longing. He stood up, his gaze searching hers, a question lingering in his eyes. "Is it really you?"
Amelia nodded, tears streaming down her face. "It's me," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. She reached out, her hand trembling as she touched his face, her fingers tracing the lines that time had etched around his eyes, lines that only seemed to accentuate his warmth, his strength. They stood there for a moment, their gazes locked, the years of separation dissolving in the unspoken language of their shared past. There was so much to say, so much to explain, but for now, words seemed inadequate, incapable of expressing the depth of their emotions. "Why didn't you answer my letter?" Amelia finally asked, her voice a mere whisper. The question had haunted her for years, a constant reminder of the love they had lost. Daniel's face clouded over with a mixture of pain and regret. "I left the conservatory shortly after you returned home," he explained, his voice low and filled with remorse. "I never received your letter. I searched for you, Amelia, but you had vanished. I thought—" He didn't finish his sentence, but he didn't need to. The unspoken words hung heavy in the air between them. A shared understanding of the pain, the missed opportunities, the cruel hand of fate that had kept them apart for so long. "But now you're here," Amelia said, her voice filled with hope. She took a step closer, her hand reaching for his, their fingers intertwining as if they had never been apart. And somehow, against all odds, we found our way back to each other. As they stood there in the fading light of the Viennese afternoon, the song of the wanderer echoing in their hearts, a new melody began to take shape, a melody of hope, of second chances, and the enduring power of a love that time could not diminish. Rain began to fall, soft at first, then steadily intensifying, mirroring the tears that streamed down Amelia's face. She hadn't let go of Daniel's hand, their fingers intertwined as if clinging to a lifeline. The years of separation, the unspoken words, the ache of what could have been, all of it crashed over her in a tidal wave of emotion. Daniel gently brushed a tear from her cheek, his touch sending a familiar warmth through her that time had not extinguished. His emerald eyes, once filled with youthful exuberance, now held a depth of understanding, a wisdom earned through years of living, loving, and losing. And in those eyes, Amelia saw a reflection of her own pain, her own longing, her own hope that this reunion was not just a cruel trick of fate. "I can't believe it's really you," Daniel murmured, his voice husky with emotion. He stepped closer, his other hand coming up to cup her face, his touch gentle yet possessive. "After all this time, you found me." "I had to," Amelia whispered back, her voice thick with unshed tears. "I never stopped thinking about you, Daniel. Not once in all these years." The rain intensified, drumming a steady rhythm on the roof of the gazebo, creating a cocoon of sound that shut out the rest of the world. The gentle patter of raindrops was like a soothing lullaby, wrapping them in a blanket of tranquility. It was a moment suspended in time, where the outside world ceased to exist, leaving only the two of them in their own private sanctuary. It was as if time itself had stopped, holding its breath, giving them this precious moment to reconnect, to bridge the chasm of years that had separated them. The rain, once a barrier, now served as a bridge, bringing them closer together. Each drop seemed to wash away the years of distance, the misunderstandings, and the unspoken words that had kept them apart. Amelia leaned into Daniel's touch, his warmth a balm to her wounded soul. She felt the tension in her body melt away, replaced by a sense of peace she hadn't felt in years. His touch was familiar, yet new, a reminder of the love they had shared and the love that still lingered between them. She drank in the sight of him, etching every detail into her memory. The way his hair, now threaded with silver, curled slightly at his temples. Each strand of silver told a story, a testament to the passage of time and the experiences that had shaped him into the man he was today. The laugh lines etched around his eyes that crinkled when he smiled spoke of a life lived with joy and laughter. Those lines were a map of their shared history, each one a marker of a moment they had laughed together, loved together. The familiar dimple that appeared on his cheek when he caught her gaze was a sight she had missed dearly. It was a small yet significant part of him that had always made her heart flutter. He had aged gracefully, the passage of time only enhancing his handsome features, adding a layer of maturity that made her heart ache with a love that had only deepened over the years. His face, now more defined, carried the wisdom and strength that only time could bestow. "Daniel, tell me everything. What happened? Why didn't you come back to the cafe that day?" His voice was gentle, yet filled with a longing for answers, for closure. Amelia took a deep breath, the weight of the unspoken words pressing down on her. She had carried this burden for so long, the truth locked away in the deepest corners of her heart. She had yearned to tell him, to explain why she had disappeared from his life, but the words had always failed her. The fear of his reaction, of the pain it might cause, had kept her silent. But the fear of rejection, of jeopardizing her grandmother's health, had kept her silent. She had chosen to protect her family, even if it meant sacrificing her own happiness. Now, standing here with him, his hand in hers, the truth felt both liberating and terrifying. She knew that this moment was a turning point, a chance to finally bridge the distance that had kept them apart for so long. The rain continued to fall, a gentle reminder that sometimes the most beautiful moments come after the storm. She told him about her grandmother's stroke, about the agonizing days and nights spent in the hospital, about the decision to leave the city and her dreams behind to care for the woman who had been both mother and father to her. She spoke of her guilt, her fear that she had made the wrong choice, that she had sacrificed her own happiness for a duty that felt both suffocating and inescapable. Daniel listened patiently, his gaze never leaving her face, his expression a mixture of understanding and heartache. When she finished, he pulled her close, holding her tight as if he could shield her from the pain of the past. "Daniel, you did what you had to do, Amelia. Don't ever regret that." His words, spoken with such sincerity, released a knot of tension in Amelia's chest. For years, she had carried the weight of her decision, the fear that she had chosen duty over love. But in that moment, held in Daniel's embrace, she felt a sense of absolution wash over her. They left the gazebo hand in hand, their footsteps echoing on the wet pavement as they walked through the rain-soaked park. The storm had passed, leaving behind a fresh, earthy scent and a sky ablaze with a million twinkling stars. Daniel hailed a taxi, and they rode in comfortable silence, their fingers intertwined, their presence a source of warmth and comfort in the cool night air. He took her to a small family-run restaurant tucked away on a cobblestone street in the heart of Vienna. The air inside was warm and inviting, filled with the aroma of freshly baked bread and rich spices. Candlelight flickered on the tables, casting dancing shadows on the walls adorned with faded photographs and antique maps. A lone pianist played soft jazz melodies, the music a soothing counterpoint to the murmur of conversations and the clinking of glasses. Over a dinner of steaming goulash and crusty bread, they talked for hours, catching up on the years they had lost. Amelia learned about Daniel's life in Vienna, his successful career as a concert cellist, his travels around the world, his passion for music that had never waned. He spoke of his loneliness, the void he had carried within him since her disappearance, a void that even the most beautiful music could not fill. Amelia shared her own story, the challenges of caring for her aging grandmother, the quiet satisfaction she found in her writing, the bittersweet memories of their time together that had sustained her through the long, lonely years. She told him about the letter she had written from the hospital, the letter that had never reached him, the letter that had haunted her with its unspoken words of love and regret.
I kept thinking that maybe you hadn't forgotten about me, that maybe, just maybe, you felt the same way I did.
Daniel reached across the table, his hand covering hers, his touch sending a jolt of electricity through her.
Amelia, I never stopped thinking about you, not for a single day. You were a melody that haunted my dreams, a song I could never quite forget.
His words, spoken with such raw honesty, brought tears to Amelia's eyes. In that moment, she knew that their connection, forged in the warmth of a cafe on a rainy afternoon, had not been a figment of her imagination. It was real, tangible, a love that had endured time and distance, a love that fate had conspired to reunite. But as the evening wore on, a question lingered in the back of Amelia's mind, a question she had been afraid to ask, a question that threatened to shatter the fragile peace they had found.
Daniel, why didn't you try to find me? I know it's been years, but there were ways.
Daniel's expression clouded over with a mixture of pain and regret. He looked away, his gaze fixed on the flickering candle flame, as if searching for the right words, the words that could explain the unexplainable.
I did try, Amelia. I went back to the cafe, but no one knew how to reach you. I even hired a private investigator, but he hit a dead end. Your grandmother, he said, had moved and no one knew where.
Amelia's heart ached for him, for the pain she heard in his voice, the pain of a love lost and never forgotten. She reached across the table, her hand covering his, her touch a silent promise of forgiveness and understanding.
I'm so sorry, Daniel. I had no idea.
He looked up then, his emerald eyes meeting hers, a flicker of hope igniting in their depths.
But you're here now, and that's all that matters.
He raised her hand to his lips, his kiss a brand that seared her soul, a promise etched in fire and sealed with a lifetime of longing.
Amelia, stay with me. Don't disappear again.
Amelia spent the next few weeks in Vienna, lost in a whirlwind of stolen moments and rekindled passion. Daniel's apartment overlooking the Danube River became their sanctuary, a place where time stood still, where the outside world faded away, and the only thing that mattered was the love they shared. They explored the city together, hand in hand, their laughter echoing through the cobblestone streets. They strolled through museums and art galleries, their fingers brushing as they admired the masterpieces, their shared love of beauty, a silent language that transcended words. They attended concerts, his music filling her soul with a joy she had almost forgotten, her presence a source of inspiration for his art. But as the days turned into weeks, a shadow loomed over their newfound happiness. Amelia's grandmother's health, fragile since the stroke, began to deteriorate. The letters from her neighbors, once filled with cheerful updates, grew increasingly worrisome, painting a picture of a woman fading away, her grip on life slipping with each passing day. Amelia was torn. She had found Daniel, the love of her life, the missing piece of her soul. But her grandmother, the woman who had raised her, who had been her rock, her constant, needed her. The thought of leaving Daniel again, of returning to a life without him, filled her with a despair that threatened to consume her. She confided in Daniel, her voice trembling as she shared her fears, her guilt, the impossible choice she faced. He listened patiently, his gaze filled with love and understanding, his arm a source of strength as she broke down in his arms.
You have to go back, Amelia. Your grandmother needs you. I know it hurts, but it's the right thing to do.
His words, though painful to hear, resonated with a truth she couldn't deny. She had a responsibility to her grandmother, a debt of gratitude she could never repay. But leaving Daniel again, after they had finally found their way back to each other, felt like tearing her heart from her chest. "Promise me you'll come back," Daniel whispered, his voice hoarse with emotion, as he held her close the night before her departure. "Promise me, this isn't goodbye." Amelia clung to him, her tears soaking his shirt, her heart breaking with the pain of their impending separation.
I promise I'll come back to you, Daniel. I swear it.
She returned to her grandmother's bedside, her heart heavy with the weight of their love and the uncertainty of the future. She poured all her energy into caring for the woman who had been her anchor in a world often adrift, her presence a source of comfort and solace in those final days. As her grandmother slipped away, her hand clasped tightly in Amelia's, she whispered,
"Don't let fear hold you back, my dear. Life is too short to deny your heart's desire."
Her words, a final gift of love and wisdom, released Amelia from the chains of duty and guilt she had carried for so long. She had honored her promise, had been there for her grandmother until the very end. And now, it was time to honor the promise she had made to herself, to the love that had sustained her through the darkest of times. Amelia returned to Vienna, her heart filled with a mixture of trepidation and hope. She had written to Daniel, pouring out her grief over her grandmother's passing, her gratitude for his understanding, her unwavering love that had only grown stronger in their time apart. But his reply, when it finally arrived, was not what she expected. His words, once filled with warmth and passion, were now distant, formal, almost businesslike. He wrote of his busy concert schedule, his upcoming tour, his regret that he wouldn't be able to see her anytime soon. Amelia's heart sank. She had bared her soul in that letter, had poured all her love and longing into those words, only to be met with a wall of indifference. Had he changed his mind? Had their time apart extinguished the flame they had so carefully rekindled? Determined to find out, Amelia booked a flight to Vienna, her heart pounding with a mixture of hope and dread. She went straight to his apartment, the same apartment overlooking the Danube where they had shared so many stolen moments, only to find it empty, devoid of any sign that he had ever lived there. Heartbroken and confused, Amelia wandered the city streets, her footsteps echoing her despair. She went to the familiar cafe where they had first met, the music that had once drawn them together now a painful reminder of what she had lost. She was about to give up hope when she saw him standing across the street, his back to her, his cello case by his side. He looked older, his shoulders slumped as if carrying a heavy burden. But there was no mistaking the familiar tilt of his head, the way his hair curled slightly at the nape of his neck. Amelia's heart leaped in her chest. She started to cross the street, her hand outstretched, 1,000 unspoken words trembling on her lips. But as she drew closer, she noticed something different about him, a fragility she hadn't seen before. He turned then, as if sensing her presence, and his face, once filled with life and laughter, was now pale and drawn, his emerald eyes dulled with a pain that pierced her soul.
"Daniel?"
she whispered, her voice catching in her throat. She reached out to touch him, her fingers brushing against his arm, but he flinched as if in pain.
"Amelia,"
he breathed, his voice raspy, barely audible above the city's din.
"you came back."
Tears welled up in Amelia's eyes.
"Of course I came back.
She said, her voice thick with emotion.
I told you I would."
He managed a weak smile, but it didn't reach his eyes.
"I didn't think you would."
He confessed, his voice barely a whisper.
"I pushed you away, Amelia. I didn't want to hurt you."
Confusion clouded Amelia's features. "Hurt me?" she echoed, her brow furrowed in concern. "What are you talking about, Daniel?" He took a step back, his hand instinctively going to his chest, his breath coming in ragged gasps. "I'm sick, Amelia," he said, his voice strained with effort. "The doctors, they don't give me much longer." Amelia's world tilted on its axis. It couldn't be true. It couldn't be happening. Not now, not after they had finally found their way back to each other. As if reading her thoughts, Daniel reached out, his hand trembling as he cupped her face, his touch sending a wave of warmth through her that belied the coldness creeping into his skin. "I wrote that letter because I didn't want you to see me like this," he explained, his voice weak but filled with a love that transcended his failing body. "I didn't want you to remember me as a burden." Amelia spent the next few months by Daniel's side, their love a beacon of light in the encroaching darkness. She moved into his apartment, transforming it into a haven of comfort and peace, surrounding him with music, books, and the scent of her lavender perfume, the scent that always brought a smile to his face. They talked for hours, sharing memories, dreams, and regrets. She read to him from her favorite books, her voice a soothing balm to his weary soul. And he played for her on his cello, his music a bittersweet symphony of love, loss, and the enduring power of the human spirit. One rainy afternoon, as Amelia sat by his bedside watching him sleep, a memory surfaced from the depths of her mind. A memory of her grandfather's words, words that had haunted her for years but now held a profound new meaning. Sometimes, her grandfather had said, his voice gruff with emotion, "The most beautiful melodies are the ones left unfinished. They linger in the silence, a haunting reminder of what could have been." She looked at Daniel, his chest rising and falling with each shallow breath, his face pale but serene in sleep. And she realized that their love story, though cut short, was not unfinished. It was a love that had weathered storms and separations, a love that had defied time and distance, a love that would continue to echo in the chambers of her heart long after the last note had faded away. She picked up her worn leather-bound journal, the same journal that had been her confidant, her companion, her witness to the ebb and flow of her life, and she began to write. She wrote of their love, of their laughter, of their shared dreams and unspoken desires. She wrote of the pain of their separations, the joy of their reunions, the bittersweet symphony of their lives intertwined. And as she wrote, a new melody began to take shape in her mind, a melody born of grief and gratitude, of love lost and found, of the enduring power of the human spirit to find hope and beauty even in the face of death. Daniel slipped away peacefully one cool spring morning, his hand clasped tightly in Amelia's, the scent of lavender filling the air, a bittersweet reminder of the love they had shared. She wept for him, for the future they would never have, for the dreams they would never realize. But through her tears, she felt a sense of gratitude for the time they had been given, for the love that had illuminated their lives, for the memories that would forever be etched in her heart. She returned to the cafe on Baker Street, the place where their paths had first crossed, the place where their love story had begun. It had changed over the years, but some things remained the same: the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, the soft murmur of conversations, the gentle jazz melodies swirling in the air. She sat at their table by the window, the rain falling outside, mirroring the tears that streamed down her face. She closed her eyes, and she could almost hear his voice, his laughter, the soft strains of his cello filling the space beside her. She opened her eyes and saw a young couple sitting across from her, their fingers intertwined, their gazes locked in a silent language of love and longing. They reminded her of herself and Daniel all those years ago, full of hope and dreams, their love story just beginning. Amelia smiled, a bittersweet ache in her heart. Life went on, a never-ending cycle of love, loss, and renewal. And in that moment, she knew that Daniel would always be with her, his love a guiding star, his memory a source of strength and inspiration. She took out her journal, its pages filled with their story, and she began to read, her voice soft at first, then growing stronger, filled with the enduring power of a love that death could not diminish, a love that echoed through time, a testament to the eternal nature of the human heart. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Time, with its relentless march, seemed to blur the lines between past and present. Each passing day brought with it a new wave of emotions, memories, and reflections. The seasons changed. The world outside continued its rhythm. But for Amelia, time had taken on a different meaning. It was both a healer and a reminder of all that had been lost. Amelia poured her grief, her love, and her memories into her writing. Every word she penned was a cathartic release, a way to process the whirlwind of emotions that had engulfed her. Her journal became a sanctuary, a place where she could be honest with herself, where she could confront her pain and celebrate her joys. The act of writing was both a solace and a struggle, a way to keep Daniel's memory alive while also grappling with the reality of his absence. The worn leather-bound journal became her lifeline, each word a step forward on the path of healing. It was more than just a collection of thoughts. It was a testament to her resilience, a chronicle of her journey through the labyrinth of grief. The journal's pages, filled with her innermost thoughts and feelings, were a mirror reflecting her soul's deepest desires and fears. Holding it close to her chest, she felt a connection to Daniel, as if his spirit was guiding her through the darkness. She wrote about their first meeting, a moment that had changed her life forever. The memory of that day was etched in her mind, a vivid tableau of emotions and sensations. She remembered the nervous excitement, the way her heart had raced when their eyes met for the first time. It was as if the universe had conspired to bring them together, two souls destined to intertwine. The spark of connection was immediate, a magnetic pull that neither could resist. The way Daniel's music had touched her soul, resonating with a depth that words could never capture. His melodies were a language of their own, speaking to her in ways that transcended the ordinary. Each note he played was a brushstroke on the canvas of her heart, painting a picture of love, longing, and hope. She would close her eyes and let the music wash over her, feeling every emotion it conveyed. It was through his music that she had come to understand the true essence of his being. The laughter they had shared, moments of pure, unadulterated joy that had brightened even the darkest days. Their laughter was a symphony of happiness, a testament to the bond they shared. It was in these moments that they found solace, a reminder that even in the face of adversity, there was always room for joy. They laughed at the silliest things, finding humor in the mundane and the extraordinary alike. Their laughter was a beacon of light, guiding them through the storm. The dreams they had dared to dream. Together they had envisioned a future filled with endless possibilities, a tapestry of hopes and aspirations woven with the threads of their love. They would lie under the stars, dreaming of the life they would build together, a life filled with adventure, passion, and unwavering support. Their dreams were a testament to their belief in each other, a promise that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. She wrote about the pain of their separations, the heart-wrenching moments when they had to part ways. Each goodbye was a dagger to her heart, a reminder of the fragility of their time together. The tears they shed were a testament to the depth of their love, a love that could not be diminished by distance or time. The pain of separation was a constant companion, a shadow that loomed over their happiest moments. Yet, it was also a reminder of the strength of their bond, a bond that could withstand even the most trying of circumstances. The bittersweet joy of their reunions, moments of pure elation tempered by the knowledge that their time together was fleeting. Each reunion was a celebration of their love, a reaffirmation of their commitment to each other. The joy they felt in each other's arms was indescribable, a feeling of completeness that made all the pain and longing worthwhile. These moments were a testament to their resilience, a reminder that no matter how many times they were torn apart, they would always find their way back to each other. The way their love had weathered storms and blossomed anew with each sunrise. Their relationship was a testament to the power of love to endure, to grow stronger in the face of adversity. They had faced countless challenges, yet their love had remained steadfast, a beacon of hope in the darkest of times. Each sunrise was a new beginning, a chance to renew their vows to each other, to reaffirm their commitment to the journey they had embarked on together. Their love was a force of nature, unyielding and ever-present. She wrote about the final months, a time of profound sorrow and unwavering love. As Daniel's health declined, their bond grew even stronger, a testament to the depth of their connection. The final months were a whirlwind of emotions, a roller coaster of hope and despair. Yet, through it all, their love remained a constant, a source of strength and comfort. Amelia's writing became a way to process the pain, to find meaning in the midst of chaos. Each word was a tribute to Daniel, a way to honor his memory and keep his spirit alive. The tenderness in Daniel's eyes, a reflection of the love and devotion he felt for her. Even in his weakest moments, his gaze was filled with warmth and affection, a reminder of the bond they shared. His eyes spoke volumes, conveying emotions that words could never capture. It was in these moments that Amelia found solace, a reminder that their love was eternal, transcending the physical realm. The tenderness in his eyes was a beacon of hope, a reminder that love could endure even in the face of death. The strength of his spirit, even as his body failed him, a testament to his resilience and determination. Daniel's spirit was unbreakable, a force of nature that refused to be diminished by illness. His strength was a source of inspiration for Amelia, a reminder that even in the face of insurmountable odds, there was always hope. Together they faced each challenge with unwavering resolve, supporting each other through the darkest of times. Their love was a source of strength, a beacon of light in the midst of darkness, the way his love had illuminated even the darkest of days. Daniel's love was a guiding light, a source of comfort and solace for Amelia. In his arms, she found a refuge from the storm, a place where she could find peace and healing. His love was a balm for her soul, a reminder that even in the face of loss, there was always hope. Together, they created a sanctuary of love, a place where they could find solace and strength. Their love was a testament to the power of the human spirit, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always light. And as she wrote, she began to understand the true meaning of her grandfather's words. His wisdom had always been a guiding force in her life, a source of inspiration and strength. Through her writing, she came to realize that his words were not just about love, but about life itself. They were a reminder that even in the face of loss, there is always hope, always a reason to keep moving forward. Her grandfather's words became a mantra, a source of strength and inspiration as she navigated the complexities of grief and healing. Their love story wasn't incomplete. It was a melody that would continue to resonate long after the last note had faded. It was a symphony of emotions, a testament to the power of love to transcend time and space. Their love was a legacy, a gift that would continue to inspire and uplift those who heard their story. It was a reminder that love is eternal, a force that can never be diminished or forgotten. Their love story was a melody that would continue to play, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. It was a melody that would continue to resonate long after the last note had faded. Their love was a song that would never end, a symphony of emotions that would continue to inspire and uplift. It was a reminder that love is eternal, a force that can never be diminished or forgotten. Their love story was a melody that would continue to play, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. It was a legacy of love, a gift that would continue to inspire and uplift those who heard their story. It was a legacy of love, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit to find beauty and meaning even in the face of loss. Their love was a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always light. It was a legacy that would continue to inspire and uplift, a testament to the power of love to transcend time and space. Their love was a gift, a reminder that even in the face of loss, there is always hope. It was a legacy of love, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. A testament to the enduring power of the human spirit to find beauty and meaning even in the face of loss. Their love was a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always light. It was a legacy that would continue to inspire and uplift, a testament to the power of love to transcend time and space. Their love was a gift, a reminder that even in the face of loss, there is always hope. It was a legacy of love, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. When she finally reached the last page, a sense of completion washed over her. It was a moment of profound realization, a culmination of her journey through grief and healing. The act of writing had been a cathartic release, a way to process the whirlwind of emotions that had engulfed her. As she closed the journal, she felt a sense of peace, a feeling that she had honored Daniel's memory in the best way possible. The journal was a testament to their love, a chronicle of their journey together. Her hand trembling with emotion, a mixture of sorrow and relief. The tears that welled up in her eyes were a testament to the depth of her love, a love that could never be diminished by time or distance. The act of writing had been a journey of self-discovery, a way to find meaning in the midst of chaos. Her trembling hands were a reflection of the emotions that had been stirred within her, a reminder of the power of love to heal and transform. It was a moment of profound realization, a culmination of her journey through grief and healing. She knew she had to share their story with the world. It was a story of love, loss, and resilience, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. Sharing their story was a way to honor Daniel's memory, to ensure that his legacy would live on. It was a way to inspire others, to remind them that even in the face of loss, there is always hope. Her determination was a reflection of her love for Daniel, a love that could never be diminished by time or distance. She knew that their story had the power to touch hearts and change lives. She had to let Daniel's music, his love, his spirit, live on, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit. His music was a reflection of his soul, a language that spoke to the deepest parts of the human experience. It was a way to keep his memory alive, to ensure that his legacy would continue to inspire and uplift. Sharing his music was a way to honor his memory, to ensure that his spirit would live on. It was a way to remind others of the power of love, to inspire them to embrace life's precious moments. Inspiring others to embrace life's precious moments, to find beauty and meaning even in the face of loss. It was a reminder that life is fleeting, a precious gift that should be cherished and celebrated. Sharing their story was a way to inspire others, to remind them of the power of love to heal and transform. It was a way to honor Daniel's memory, to ensure that his legacy would live on. Their story was a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always light, and to cherish the love they found, no matter how fleeting it might seem. Their love was a gift, a precious treasure that should be cherished and celebrated. It was a reminder that even in the face of loss, there is always hope. Their story was a testament to the power of love to heal and transform. A reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always light. It was a legacy of love, a gift that would continue to inspire and uplift those who heard their story. Their love was a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the face of loss, there is always light. With a deep breath and a heart full of trepidation, Amelia sent her manuscript to a publisher, her hopes clinging to the fragile wings of a prayer. She had no expectations, only a deep-seated need to share their story, to keep Daniel's memory alive, to let his music touch the hearts of others as it had touched hers. Weeks turned into months, Each day an agonizing wait for a response. Doubt gnawed at her, whispering insidious doubts about her writing, her story, her worthiness to share something so personal, so profound. She tried to distract herself, to lose herself in her work, in the familiar rhythm of her days. But Daniel's absence hung heavy in the air, a constant reminder of the love they had shared, the love that now lived only in the pages of her manuscript. Then, one ordinary afternoon, a letter arrived, the publisher's logo emblazoned on the back of the envelope. Amelia's heart skipped a beat, her hand trembling as she tore open the envelope, her eyes scanning the words, her mind struggling to process their meaning. Dear Ms. Amelia, the letter began, the publisher's words leaping off the page, each one a spark igniting a wildfire of hope in her weary heart. We are honored to have read your manuscript, a testament to the enduring power of love and the resilience of the human spirit. Amelia's breath caught in her throat as she read on, the publisher's words washing over her, each sentence a validation of her deepest fear, a confirmation that she had poured her heart and soul onto those pages, that she had honored Daniel's memory, that she had given voice to a love that transcended time and distance. Your story, though steeped in sorrow, is ultimately a celebration of life, a reminder that even in the face of loss, love finds a way to endure, the letter continued. We believe that your book will resonate deeply with readers, offering solace, inspiration, and a renewed appreciation for the precious gift of love. Tears streamed down Amelia's face as she read the final words of the letter, the publisher's signature a symbol of hope, a promise that their story would be told, that Daniel's music would live on, touching hearts and inspiring dreams long after they were gone. The publication of Amelia's book was met with critical acclaim, her words touching the hearts of readers around the world. She poured her grief and her love into every interview, every book signing, every encounter with readers who shared their own stories of love, loss, and the enduring power of music. She traveled to Vienna, her heart aching with a familiar blend of sorrow and longing, to promote her book. She revisited the cafe on Baker Street, the place where their love story had begun, the worn velvet booth now a sacred space, imbued with the echoes of their laughter, the warmth of their touch, the unspoken promises whispered between two souls destined to find each other. And as she sat there, sipping her coffee, watching the world go by, she realized that her journey had come full circle. She had honored her promise to Daniel, to keep his memory alive, to share their love story with the world. She stood before the Danube River, its waters flowing past like time itself, carrying away her tears, her grief, her regrets. The city, once a symbol of their lost love, now held a strange sense of peace, a quiet acceptance that life, like the river, flowed on, ever changing, ever evolving, yet forever connected to its source. She visited the park where they had reunited, the gazebo where they had sought shelter from the storm, its roof now covered in a blanket of freshly fallen snow, a stark contrast to the vibrant colors of their love. She closed her eyes, and she could almost hear the strains of Daniel's cello, his music echoing through the trees, a bittersweet melody that spoke of love, loss, and the enduring power of memory. And in that moment, she knew that Daniel would always be with her, his spirit woven into the fabric of her being, his love a guiding star illuminating her path. Years passed, each one a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, the enduring power of love to heal and transform. Amelia continued to write, her words now imbued with a depth of understanding, a wisdom born of heartache and hope. She never forgot Daniel, his memory a constant presence in her life, his love a guiding light that illuminated even the darkest of days. She found solace in their shared memories, in the music they both cherished, in the knowledge that their love story, though tragically cut short, had touched the hearts of countless others. One day, while going through her belongings, she stumbled upon a dusty box filled with Daniel's things, his well-worn cello case, his music scores filled with his handwritten notes, a faded photograph of them standing together, their smiles radiant with love. As she gently lifted each item from the box, memories flooded back, each one a bittersweet reminder of their time together, of the love they had shared. And then she saw it, tucked away in the corner of the box, a small, unassuming envelope addressed to her in Daniel's familiar handwriting. With trembling hands, she tore open the envelope and unfolded the single sheet of paper inside. It was a letter, dated just a few weeks before his death. His words filled with a love that transcended time and distance, a love that resonated in her heart with the same intensity she had felt all those years ago. "My dearest Amelia," the letter began, his words flowing across the page, his voice echoing in the chambers of her heart, bridging the chasm of years, erasing the pain of their separation. "I know that I don't have much time left, but I wanted you to know that you have given me the greatest gift a man could ask for, your love. You have filled my life with a joy I never thought possible," he wrote, his words a balm to her soul, a testament to the healing power of love. "You have inspired my music, my art, my very being. And though it breaks my heart to leave you, to leave this world without you by my side, I find solace in the knowledge that our souls are forever intertwined, our love a melody that will echo through eternity." As she read the final words of his letter, tears streaming down her face, a sense of peace washed over her, a profound understanding that their love story wasn't over. It had simply transformed, transcending the boundaries of time and space. She closed her eyes, and she could hear his music, clear as day, filling the room, surrounding her with its warmth, its beauty, its enduring power. It was a melody of love, of loss, of hope, a melody that spoke of the resilience of the human spirit, the enduring power of the human heart to find beauty and meaning even in the face of death. She saw herself standing on a grand stage, bathed in the warm glow of a spotlight, a vast concert hall spread out before her, its seats filled with people from all walks of life, their faces illuminated by a shared love of music, a shared humanity that transcended language and culture. She saw Daniel standing beside her, his eyes sparkling with love and pride, his fingers dancing over the strings of his cello, his music filling the hall, its notes weaving a tapestry of emotions that resonated deep within the souls of the listeners. And as the last note faded away, silence engulfed the concert hall, a silence pregnant with unspoken emotion, a silence that stretched on and on until it was broken by the thunderous applause of 1,000 hands clapping in unison, a standing ovation that shook the very foundations of the building, a testament to the power of music to heal, to inspire, to unite. Amelia opened her eyes, the echo of Daniel's music still resonating in her heart. She was no longer afraid of the silence, for she knew that his love, his music, his spirit would always be with her, a source of strength, inspiration, and solace. She picked up her pen and began to write, her words flowing effortlessly onto the page, her heart overflowing with a love that knew no bounds, a love that death could not diminish, a love that echoed through time, a melody that would continue to inspire and uplift long after she was gone. She wrote of Daniel, of their love, of the music that had brought them together and sustained them through life's inevitable storms. She wrote of the enduring power of the human spirit to find beauty and meaning even in the face of loss, to transform grief into gratitude, to embrace life's precious moments with open hearts and open arms. And as she wrote, she knew that their story wasn't over. It was a melody that would continue to resonate in the hearts of those who believed in the power of love to heal, to inspire, to transcend the boundaries of time and space. It was a melody that whispered of hope, of second chances, of the eternal nature of the human spirit, a melody that would echo through eternity, reminding the world that true love never dies.